All right. Welcome to the Working Title Podcast, the podcast where we talk about a bunch of different stuff, always working on different projects. Today we're going to be talking about the most recent Tame Impala album, The Slow Rush, released early February 2020.
Very recent.
Yeah, very recent album. And we're going to give our genuine opinions on the album. Yeah, my name is Seamus, and today I am joined by Josh. How you doing, bud?
Doing great.
Awesome. So, let's jump right in. What do you think about The Slow Rush? Kevin Parker's newest venture into this wild world of music that we live in.
Oh, let me preface this by saying that I think that Kevin Parker is an absolute genius. I actually stand in awe of what this guy has been able to achieve essentially by himself. Just as a kid coming from Perth, Australia, which is, a big city, but it's kind of obscure, just an obscure city in a way on the east coast of Australia, to being international, basically like a superstar. He's going on a tour this year, this spring and summer, where he's playing solely arenas. Yeah. So I stand in awe that he was able to make some some other stuff that he's put out. I'm like, this is like really great work. That he did by himself. He played all the instruments, produced
on Currents. He did.
Okay, that's fucking. I'm super impressed by that. So like, you got to stand in awe of somebody who's achieved that by themselves.
Yeah, especially with Currents. That's an amazing album from start to finish. And then to think he did it by himself, it's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. There's works on there that are just. Is that the one with Let It Happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that song to me is just so next level. That's like a song like that hasn't been put out since Pink Floyd. There hasn't been a song in like this modern era, like the 2010s. There hasn't been a song that has been like in that style that's been that good since Pink Floyd.
Yeah,
was putting out great shit. Kind of has that sort of same Pink Floyd-ish sound.
Right.
But anyway, so it's kind of a long preface there. But nonetheless, want to just kind of give people
caught up on what you think of Tame Impala, Kevin Parker. Because he definitely is someone that has a pedigree to him. Because Inner Speaker and Lonerism from early 2010 and then 2012 for Lonerism are two albums that I never heard of until Currents released.
Oh, okay, so then that you heard Currents and then you wanted to take a deep dive into his older material.
Yeah, so my friends told me about Tame Impala and were like, you really got to listen to him. I was like, I don't know. Not really.
I remember hearing about them for a while and they were kind of underground and then all of a sudden they were huge.
Huge, yeah. And so I started listening to Currents and was like, this is really good. I like this like pop styling, but it's still kind of psychedelic. And then when I went back and listened to Lonerism and Inner Speaker, it's like, oh, it's very different. It's very different music from what Currents is, because it's very much psychedelic fuzz rock.
Yeah, perhaps he was just trying to get his foothold into the sound he wanted to capture. I think that's probably what those two records were. I
think so. But they're still really, really good, but it's very, very different from Currents. And then this album, it took him, he's been working on a bunch of different stuff.
Yeah, that's another like level of respect that I think you share with me, that we have, that he's out like working with big hip hop artists and talks about in interviews that he wants to be like involved in like hit songwriting moving forward. I have a lot of respect for that because I think it's one of the hardest games to get into. People don't think it's hard. They think pop music is bullshit.
Right.
Which in a way, you see the finished product and you think, oh, this is kind of bullshit. But to craft a song that is like huge and worldwide, becomes like a huge success, it takes a lot of skill
it definitely takes
to really tap into something that will have that much mass appeal, I guess.
Yeah.
So I respect him for trying to venture into that.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So this album,
it's a weird one.
I was listening last night to I liked the first 5 tracks, actually. One More Year, Instant Destiny, Borderline. I really liked Posthumous Forgiveness.
Really?
Yeah, I thought that was a decent song.
I don't know. Breathe Deeper is all right. Yeah. I don't know.
So I listened to the whole thing.
Yeah, sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's okay, bro. It's all good. And there just wasn't one song on there where I felt like, wow, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an album of really, some songs are good,
Mm-hmm.
but that's mostly what it is. It's almost like, remember back in when you buy albums and you open that album and you put it in the CD player and you would discover that, besides the 2 or 3 hit singles that you bought it for,
there were other songs on there.
I don't want to say that they're like filler songs, because that's not accurate, but
Mm-hmm.
they're just not as inspired as some of his other great work, like Let It Happen.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
And I feel like it's so hard to achieve. When you achieve a song that's that great, to then try to go back and capture that same greatness. So I understand it. I understand the struggle, especially of getting in a room by yourself and having long sessions and coming up with all of this shit by yourself. I just felt like there wasn't one song on there that felt super great.
Right.
Like, greatness to me is always a self-evident thing. Like you hear something that's great, like that Thundercat song that we just listened to. I was just on the ride. Right. Because it was a great song. Yeah. And you could tell from the beginning to end that it was perfect.
Yeah, we're talking about Dragon Ball Do-Rag, just recently released by Thundercat.
Yeah, it's a really great song, dude.
It's fucking phenomenal. Watch the video.
The video is great, but I mean, I think even the song, if we were just listening to audio, I would have felt the same way.
Yeah, the song's
phenomenal. It felt inspired.
Right.
And I'm not saying that this record is not inspired. There's definitely there's parts... like I did kind of like the first 5 songs. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it was just good songs though.
Yeah.
There's not anything that just blew me the fuck away. There was passages that I felt like, oh, that was really cool production decisions that you made, or really cool parts that you made on your instrument for those particular sections. But not one on there that I would say all the way through is like, damn, that's fucking great. Which sucks, because I really wanted to like it. I truly did.
Right.
Wanted to love it. I don't think I would ever listen to it again. I really don't.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. Maybe it's one of those records you have to hear a couple times. It could be that.
I think so, because the first time I listened to it, one of my friends, I hadn't listened to it, and then my friends told me that he had listened to it and said that it was all right. I was like, okay, I kind of expected that from the singles, where a couple, I think he released 5 singles for the album beforehand, and like 2 or 3 of them were good, and I was like, and then the other 2 were not so good, and I was just kind of like, eh. So I was like, all right, that kind of makes sense that the album's not going to be all that great, but hopefully the songs that I listened to that I thought were good were going to be on there. And the first time I listened to it, it was kind of there's some good songs on here, there's some good bass parts, but otherwise it's kind of forgettable.
Yeah.
And then the second time I listened to it, I went, oh, no, this is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And then I listened to it again and went, all right, I get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, it's not currents. There's nothing in here that's really grabbing me too much. The bass parts are really nice. The only song that I really like is Borderline, which is track number 3. Which is one of the singles that I really liked.
I don't know what it is, too. I mean, I know it's the Tame Impala aesthetic to have the super delayed and really wet vocals. Mm-hmm. He's stacking those shits with so much reverb and delay.
Yeah.
But I feel like one thing I'd really like to see from Tame Impala in the future is to maybe have songs where the lyrics are actually like more legible at the same time being trippy and affected and like that Kevin Parker signature. Maybe that's why I was having trouble connecting to it, is even listening in headphones, I could only hear short glimpses or short spurts of like what he was actually saying in the song. And I mean, it's such a bitchy complaint to make, because I know how hard he fucking worked on this, and I understand.
It took 5 years.
I understand putting an entire production, and you do too, putting together an entire production by yourself where you're writing everything is an impossible task. It's impossible to make something that's fucking transcendent. It's really hard. It's almost borderlines on impossible to make something great. So I'm not saying this from like, I just want to shit on it perspective.
Right.
I know how hard he probably worked on this. This is like a lot of struggle, there's a lot of work.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Weeks and months worth of actual work.
Yeah,
composing
just on
this.
one track.
Yeah,
I remember when he
a
released
lot.
Patience, which is another single that's like, I don't understand why he didn't put Patience on the album because it's phenomenal. It's the one
Yeah,
song out of the like 4 or 5 singles that he put out that I was like, this is the hit. This
yeah,
is the one. This has to be the one that goes on the album that's like, it's going to sell it. You
yeah,
know, the sticker on the box says, including Patience.
yes.
It's like,
He didn't do
oh
that.
my God, no, it's not on the album. And the mixing of this album is different
Yeah,
from the singles, which is really strange because on like Posthumous Forgiveness, the mix of the album release and the single is slightly different. Even on Borderline, I was noticing it's like just different enough that it's like the vocals are pulled back a little bit more to let the drums kind of fade in, which is very strange. Really
yeah.
good, but it's not what the single was, which was so much better.
And I think that this album might have been one of those albums that really could have benefited from giving this to like a high level mixer, like an Andy Wallace or Chris or Tom Lord Alge, or somebody of that caliber that really knows how to make, especially sounds that because he has a taste for the old synths, and
Yes.
everything is super wet. Like
Yeah.
these recordings are wet as fuck, and the mixing is good on them, but I think because maybe he mixed it himself, it could have been better if he had, especially an album of this level. I'm not sure what the budget was like, but he's a pretty big artist. He can afford to do this. I feel like it would have been a better album with a high level mixer mixing it. I really feel it would have been a lot better.
It probably could have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, who knows? He might pull a Kanye after being in contact with him and producing a song off of Ye, but he might have somebody else mix it and then release it.
I think
again.
the future for this kid this man is so fucking bright, though. I really feel like he's going to contribute to some great works in the future.
Oh, yeah.
He's probably going to put out albums in the future that are really great.
I hope so.
I feel like this is maybe just one of those ones. Like, what are the first two that he put out?
Lonerism and Inner Speaker.
Maybe this is just one of them.
I
Like
think so.
another extension of those ones where he's kind of trying to find because he didn't put one out for 4 years, right?
It's been 5 years.
So maybe he's
since
kind of like
Currents.
just trying to, he figured it out with Currents.
Right.
He figured out what he wanted to say, and like he made this great work. And maybe now coming out of that long hiatus where he was just working with other people,
Right.
maybe he's trying to figure it out again. And maybe in a couple of years he's going to put something together.
I hope so.
So having said all this, I still like this band a lot. I like.
Yeah.
It's not really a band.
Well,
I like Kevin
it
Parker
was,
a lot.
and then Kevin
I think-
Parker decided to
I
go
think
solo.
that this guy is just so talented and so full of fucking such a promising future, dude. I mean,
Oh, definitely.
he's gonna be playing arenas and headlining festivals for as long as he wants now. He's pretty much cemented as one of the top level acts in the industry today. Which playing this kind of music in this day and age that's so dominated by hip hop and pop is really a pretty stunning achievement for a kid from Perth, Australia.
Yeah.
It's actually astounding that he's been able to craft a career that's this successful.
Oh, yeah.
Where he's making a lot every night, bro.
Yeah,
When you're playing American Airlines Arena and you're doing that everywhere.
Yeah.
Shit, man.
And to be playing this kind of music and DJing. Because he DJs too.
At his big shows, arena shows?
Yeah.
Shit, bro.
And he does like EDC every once in a while, or like big electronic music
He'll always
festivals.
be able to.
It's nuts.
Maybe he'll do some EDM shit. I definitely see him collabing with some big EDM producer like a Marshmello or Skrillex or somebody like that in the future.
Yeah, I actually felt it a lot in this album because there's certain parts where it's like, oh, well this like drum part is playing over this synth part, but it sounds like they're from two different songs. It's like, oh, that's really interesting to like mix these sounds together in such a way that it sounds like it's from two different pieces of music, but you've made it really, really well.
So there's definitely okay. So like, what would you give it on a 1-10 scale?
1 to 10 scale.
Yeah,
it probably gets a 7 for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like it.
But you're going to continue to like it, so you think that number could go higher?
No.
In the future, you think it's stay firm at the 7?
Yeah, I'm gonna say a firm 7. I like it. It's a good album all the way through because I can tell what he's going for. And from like following him on Instagram and reading reading like the posts that he puts up there with the photos, this album seems to be more about him continuing to grow as a person.
Yeah.
And once you like get into the lyrics, you see that a lot more. So it's like, all right, this album means a lot to him personally.
Yes.
And like his personal growth throughout the years and where he wants to be in one more year, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just like, all right, I can see that, but it really doesn't match anything else that you've ever done. And the mixing's not all that great. I mean, it's pretty good, but it could be better.
If Andy Wallace mixed this record, it would have been a great record.
It could have been. I don't know.
I mean, it's a good record.
Yeah.
It's good. There's just a difference between good and great.
Yes, definitely.
And yeah, just think.
What would you give it?
Okay. Oh, fuck.
It's a very difficult album to rate.
Yes, I think that honestly it could just be one of those things where I just need to hear it more.
Mm.
But just based on the impression that it left, I don't think I'll even want to go back to it.
Oh, okay.
Like just I'm gonna give it a 6.75.
Okay.
Just the album. Like
right.
My opinion of Kevin Parker does not change because of this album. I still think that
definitely.
Literally the sky is the limit for that guy. I think he's going to be one of the most successful musicians of all time in like 10 or 15 years. I mean, he's going to that guy will definitely be worth more than $100 million in 10 years for sure.
If he isn't already, because
he's really wealthy already, but I mean, just the potential with that amount of talent, you know, he's in hip hop and he wants to do pop songwriting. I mean, he's just so fucking gifted.
Yeah. So, it's insane the kind of stuff he's working on at all times because he works with Pond and a bunch of other Australian bands, and then he's working with American
got a lot
studios.
to offer. I'm gonna love some shit he does in the future. So yeah, just because it's a 6.75, this album does not change my opinion on him. I understand that sometimes you just put an album out and it just. I'm sure there's a lot of people that really think it's a great piece of work though. So just because I think this or you think this doesn't mean that it's not.
Yeah,
it's subjective.
I've seen some of my friends on Instagram be like, "This is the best album of all time," and I'm like, "It's all right, but it's understandable because it's all girls."
Oh yeah,
yeah. And I'm like, "All right, that makes sense."
Do you think Kevin Parker has that kind of heartthrob sort of?
Have you seen him?
I think he's a pretty handsome guy.
He's a pretty handsome dude. It's understandable if girls are swooning over him.
Yeah, definitely.
But, I don't know.
Oh my God, Kevin Parker! Oh my God, it's Kevin
Tame
Parker.
Impala.
Dude, girls that are like 21 that have trust fund money going to Coachella,
going crazy over.
They love Kevin Parker.
Yes,
that age demographic, the same chicks that are at a EDC or these big EDM festivals. Like the majority of the crowd is like the certain type of girl. Right. You know exactly what kind of girl I'm talking about.
The Indian headdress and makeup.
Yeah, like I'm totally just it's not cultural appropriation. It's just like what I want. I'm on a vibe. All right.
I'm here to see Tame Impala.
I'm here to say Tame Impala. I like to call him Tame Impala for whatever reason. I don't know why. Is it Impala? Like that's
Impala, like the animal.
It's an animal in Australia, right?
I think so. It's like a deer.
I just fucking made myself sound super ignorant right there. You think it's like a deer it's a deer sort of animal, right? With little horns on it?
Yeah, I think they're from mainly in Africa.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Be super baller if, after Kevin Parker goes crazy and he's like just totally stricken by the amount of fame and he ends up going, like MC Hammer, he just goes back to Australia, buys a big farm and just gets a bunch of Impalas.
I don't know if he would do that.
I'm just kidding. He seems like a very rational guy. The Zane Lowe interview that they did at his house for Beats One, very good interview.
Oh, okay.
They just did a couple weeks ago when it came out.
Right. I'll have to watch that.
Yeah, it was interesting to hear him talk about how he came up with the shit. But yeah.
Yeah.
So 6.75, you give it a 7? Bang, bang.
Yes. Yeah, so go listen to this album if you want to. It's, it's Tame Impala. It's good. Don't know if it's all that great, but if you're interested, listen to it. Definitely listen to it. Yeah, this has been another Working Title podcast review.
Yes.
Of the Slow Rush, the recent Tame Impala release. I don't know. We'll be doing some more stuff, movie reviews.
Get some shit in the works.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to spoil it just yet because maybe it'll be something that, if it works out, I want to continue doing with the movies.
Yes.
Check. We'll talk about it next time. Sorry, we'll talk about it next time on Working Title Podcast. Thank you for listening to this one. We will catch you next time. Bye.